All right, today we coming to you with another episode of Auto Glass Tech Talk, and we taking it all the way out to Charleston, South Carolina, right? And if you ever been there, you know they got water, but most importantly, they got good food, man. You can't go wrong with any kind of cuisine in South Carolina and in Charleston, to be exact. Ladies and gentlemen, we got the man, the myth, the legend, Jeff Olive. How we doing, brother?
What's up,
Great.
Jeff?
How's it going on your side? Excellent.
Good.
I'm doing good.
I'm doing good, man. Let's jump right into this. Can you explain what the role of the AGSC is in promoting safety and quality in auto glass installations? And if you can explain what your position is there as well.
Well, the Auto Glass Safety Council, we developed the Auto Glass Safety Standard, and that's been in place for, it's been over 20 years. I've been involved with the development of the standard since its inception. I've been on the standards committee. I chaired the education committee. I currently chair the education committee. We've written questions and developed the certification testing for technicians. And most recently, we're developing an ADAS and a CSR certification that should be out by Auto Glass Week this year in September.
Nice.
So we keep advancing and updating our programs and trying to promote safety and correct installations throughout the industry.
There we go. So talking about audits, right? We see you on the road, right? And we see audits, we hear audits, but let's just break it down. Can you explain what an audit is and what are some of the key components of an audit?
Sure. So yeah, we randomly choose shops throughout the country and we group them. So obviously we can do it more efficiently as in a certain area that our member shops are located in. So we'll come into we'll start out. We'll notify the shops 90 days in advance that they have an audit coming up, and we ask for paperwork. Like there's 8 questions that need to be answered, such as how many technicians do you have? What kind of ADAS system do you use? What kind of urethane do you use, and so forth, just so we can get all the correct information that we need in order to produce or in order to conduct the audit. Once we have all that, we request the AGSC certification technician certificates, any ADAS training certificates that they have, their ASM certificates that they have, and we put that all into a file. So we make sure everybody's got all the right certifications to perform the job properly and that they have the correct knowledge to do the job. Then we'll head out and perform the audits. And when we arrive, we'll take a quick look at their paperwork. So we're going to review paperwork that needs to be retained for at least 3 years at a time to make sure that it has all the correct documentation, such as lot numbers, DOT numbers, safe drive times, temperature and humidity. All the information that needs to be recorded and retained and for traceability in case something would pop up, to reduce your liability in any instances that there was a urethane failure. You've got everything recorded properly. It goes past you, and then would go back to the urethane manufacturer to make sure that the product was produced with the right chemicals in it. There wasn't an issue with that. So you want to cover yourself as far as liability issues go. Once we get done with the review of the paperwork, then we go and we watch the technicians perform an installation. So we're going to ask a number of questions during that period. And the audit checklist is available on our website, agsc.org, under the document library or the audit information. You can always pull that information up and look at it prior to your audit, and you'll see exactly the checklist that we're going to go through while we're conducting the audit. So we'll ask questions like proper bonding of a gasket. What does that take? And we want to make sure that technicians know the right process for installing a bonded gasket installation. We'll watch them prepare the glass. We'll watch them prep the pinch weld. We'll make sure that they're using the right safety procedures and protection on the vehicle. Make sure that they're conducting a pre-inspection, post-inspection, documenting everything on their information as far as and notifying the customers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I can keep going if you like.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. Okay.
So
it's like
generally, well, real quick, generally, when we're doing the audit, It sounds like a lot, but it's just a normal installation that the technician is doing. So they're actually not losing any work. They're conducting the installation, and we're asking questions while the installation is being performed. So there's really no delay to the workday of the technician, rather than being at the shop location and watching the installation and answering a few questions. So generally, we'll have anywhere from 1 to 2 to 3 technicians, and it usually only takes about 2.5 hours to complete the audit.
Okay. That's pretty short, yeah. Not too long. I mean, okay, so I was gonna say my next question kind of goes in, how does it help identify and correct issues? But if you were listening, those the things you were saying are what can help a shop and a technician identify and correct issues. Just certain things of knowing with the gaskets, right? Knowing to urethane your gasket down. Most people don't know that. That would help. Is there anything else that you think would be, help correct issues, or is there common things that shops do or don't do, like when they know the audit's coming, or if they just, things that they just blank on?
So when the audit approaches, and I have the list and the shops have been notified, I will send out an email to their adhesive system manufacturers and let them know that they have some upcoming audits for their clients. And hopefully they contact the company and do a review with the correct procedures as far as the ASM goes. So it's good to know your procedures. Now, some of the common mistakes can be corrected by that, because like you said, the gasket installation procedure is in the adhesive system manufacturer's training manual. It's step by step, and that's what needs to be answered when that question is asked. You can also it's like an open book test. You can have that information available to you. That's why you should have your training manual, and you can open the training manual, and if you're not sure on an answer, as long as you can look it up and read it to me, then I know you know the right process. So that is acceptable. So it's like an open book test there. Some of the common mistakes that are made, people aren't dating their primer when they open it. Your primer has an expiration date printed on the label, but once you open it, it changes. Some of them are 7 days, some are 14 days, some are 6 months. You've got to write that date on the bottle so you know, because you may leave the bottle on the counter in the shop when you're doing an in-shop installation, then jump in your truck and you forget to bring it with, and somebody else picks it up. They're not going to know when that bottle was opened. So it's good to record that on the bottle every time. Now, if there's a mistake made, you've got 6 weeks to make a correction. So if there was, say they weren't sure on the gasket installation, like we discussed, or they didn't date the primer, then you would have 6 weeks to make a correction, show that you have a process in place to change that, the way you're doing that, or your knowledge on that. So if you recorded snapshots of the bottles being dated throughout the next few weeks, send those in. We'll put them in your file. Now we know that you're supposed to date the bottles, and you're showing that process is taking place. Now you pass your audit. If it was a gasket installation, you may have your adhesive system manufacturer come in and reconduct the training and make sure that they highlight on the gasket installation process. Have them all sign off on that page that has that information on there that they took the training. Send that in. We put that into your file. Now we know that everybody's has the knowledge of the correct process for the gasket installation. Now you pass your audit. Because that's the thing. Some people just don't take the time. It's like, when you go out and buy something, you start putting it together. When do you read the directions? When you're like, well, something's not going right here, I better look at the directions, So read the directions first, then have your audit conducted.
There you go.
Yep.
So you mentioned like the checklist, and you mentioned like getting your training materials and all that in place, right? So I kind of got a 2-part question for you. So as a shop owner and as a technician, is there anything else they should prepare for ahead of time other than like going to the website, getting a checklist and looking over things there? Is there anything else they should potentially prepare for, or just really truly be themselves and be present in the moment and go through your normal routine like you always do?
Well, it's best, like I said, to review the checklist and maybe conduct a few self audits. Really, this is the process that you signed up for, and that you should be practicing every day. So it should be basically a no brainer when it comes to it. You've got your ASM coming in and certifying you and doing the training. You've got your AGSC certifications. You've been through your your ADAS training. So you should have everything in place as far as the knowledge goes. But it doesn't hurt to follow up and follow through, because not every technician out there maybe they think it's a hassle to date the primer, or it's a hassle to put the DOT number on the invoice. I had one instance where I did a shop and they said, well, I don't record the DOT number because we only have one supplier and I buy all my glass from one supplier. So it should be the same DOT, shouldn't it? It's like, no, they have different manufacturers that they sell their product from.
Right.
It may not be the same DOT on those glass products, so that has to be recorded.
Yeah.
There's a lot of DOTs. Definitely not just one. Okay, so with all that, is there any extra advice? Is there any extra advice that like one really great piece of information that you would give to a shop or techs getting their audit coming up?
Well, getting the audit and being a member of the AGSC, it has great benefits. The audit helps you as a shop owner reduce your liability, because if you're covering all the steps, the AGSC can stand behind you in case it would ever end up in court. We will cover all the liability issues as long as you have passed the audit and show that you are recording everything properly and doing the proper installations and have all your certifications. So that stands behind you as far as liability issues. If it's a good review to do the checklists prior to, and maybe once every 6 months, just to make sure your technicians are recording, because they may be missing dating the primer bottles, or they may be missing cleaning the pinch weld prior to trimming, or they may be using the wrong scraper and scratching the pinch weld, where it's going to be harder to prime in the back edge of the wall of the pinch weld. You may get some scratches that you can't prime in there unless you're using a curved edge scraper, for instance. So there are different items that you may want to look. A lot of times, you hire technicians that have experience, you bring them into the shop, and they're good to go. But you don't know that all the bases and all the points are being covered. They may have some bad habits that they go out in. It's hard to break those bad habits, but a review every once in a while kind of helps avoid those issues.
Yeah.
I like that.
You just said it. Like, do self audit yourself. Like, check in, make sure we're doing what we're supposed to do. Like, we signed up for this, but nothing's wrong with like tapping in with your crew. Like, hey, what are y'all doing? And going through it and having people walk you through it. And like you said, when you're there and you're going through the audit, how you're asking questions as you go through. I always tell people, like, especially when it comes to do a windshield repair, and even with a replacement, when you're doing your process, talk to yourself. Tell yourself what you're doing, why you're doing it, and then it basically becomes second nature. So appreciate you for saying those things as far as like get the checklist, but also don't wait for us to come do an audit for you. Like, audit yourself. Make sure you're doing everything you're supposed to be doing. And if you feel like something ain't right, like reach out. It's a ton of resources on the AGSC's website and stuff like that. So I got a question for you, right? So you've been out Northwest, Southwest, all over the US, right? So as you're doing these audits, you seeing some beautiful places out here, right? So year to date, what's some of the nicest places you've been or some good scenery you've seen?
Idaho, I think, was one of the most beautiful. I drove from the bottom of Idaho all the way almost to Canada. And when I took the route going up, it was going to add like an hour to my ride, but I had scheduled, so I had enough time. And I took, instead of taking the main highway, I took more of the scenic route, which was suggested to me by one of the shops that I was at auditing prior to driving up north. And it was just unbelievable. The valleys, the old train rails that went through the mountains and everything. The scenery changed. That was beautiful. Going across up at the Donner Pass was great. Martha's Vineyard was interesting.
Okay.
I went skiing. It was over the weekend. I had some audits. I ended at the end of the week, and instead of returning home on Friday, I flew home on Monday, and I took a couple of days. And I went skiing up in Vermont, and that was quite. That was nice.
There you go. So
that's cool.
So that's cool. So I got another one for both of y'all here, right? So Drift, you just took part in some self-care. You went to the Morgan Wallen concert and got away from work, right? And with it being like summertime is pretty much here, right? And people are going out on vacations and self-care and all that little bit. So a little self-care. So if anybody got some vacations before, drop a comment below. Let us know where you're vacationing to. But Jeff, you just came back from vacation, brother. So spill the tea. Tell us how vacation was. Where'd you go and what'd you do?
Yeah, so I took the whole family and we went out to the Big Island in Hawaii. And the eruption had started going off, around December. Every once in a while, the volcano was erupting. And we were hoping it would while we were there, but we went out to the park and went to the Volcano National Park. And the steam vents were steaming, and you could see steam coming from where the eruptions were, but no eruption was going on. And there's quite a few people. So, yeah, we checked that out and spent the day walking around there and then headed back to our resort. We did a number of other things. The next day, we had a snorkeling trip scheduled first thing in the morning. So we went snorkeling, went out on the boat and went snorkeling. And that was really nice off of the reef. And then we went to the top of Kilauea and looked at the sunset and saw the observatories up on the top of the mountain. That was really nice. And we did a stargazing thing. And I got back to the hotel around 11:30 and pulled up the eruption watch app that's going on and saw that it had just started erupting. So we jumped back in the car, drove back past Kilauea. We drove 2 hours to the other side of the island. And at 3:30 in the morning, we're hiking through the wilderness in the back of Volcano National Park. Oh, it was cool, man. It was like on a safari, we're going back in there.
That is so cool.
As we approached the park, the sky was glowing orange. You could see the lava shining off of the sky. I mean, it was just unbelievable. And we got in there and we were able to get quite close. If anybody's on my Facebook page, you can see a lot of the pictures.
Yeah.
Too. But it sounded like a jet engine going off. And it was erupting probably 1,000 feet in the air.
Wow.
And lava was flowing out of that thing. It looked like the biggest raging river you've ever seen. I mean, it was unbelievable how much was coming out of there.
Wow.
So it was pretty epic.
Yeah.
We did a number of other things. I dove with manta rays at night, and that was wild, man. I had a manta ray come up, and they feed on the plankton. They put lights out and they feed on the plankton, so it attracts them in. And one came up and turned and actually pushed me up out of the water with his belly. These things are like over 1,000 pounds.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. It was cool. It was a great experience.
Yeah. Nah, check those.
Like a good trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah,
it was a good time. Everybody enjoyed it.
So what was the temperature like when the volcano was erupting? Was it really hot around it? Was it even hotter feeling it, or how was that like?
Well, that's a question a lot of people have asked. And the wind was blowing from behind me, so we were downwind from it. So the smoke and the ash and the toxic fumes or whatever else comes off of there, and all the heat was getting blown to the other direction. So it wasn't that bad. Okay. And it was kind of sprinkling. It was kind of sprinkling out. It was a little bit rainy. So it wasn't that hot. You could hear it and you could smell. It really didn't smell like people think like maybe sulfur or something like that. But it was kind of hard to describe. I'm not sure what it smelled like, but you definitely. And so I had been to Hawaii one other time, and that was 21 years ago. And I walked on the flow when it had gone down to the ocean. At that time, it was flowing into the ocean. And I walked over the top of the lava flow. And that time it was hot. It actually melted my shoe. My tennis shoes. Yeah, there was open spots. You could see the lava flowing underneath what we were walking on and everything else. It was an experience.
Nah, that's what's up. But
cool.
It's the middle of the year. It's the summertime. So everybody out there like, hey, take some time off, do a vacation, get away, do something for the summer. If you choose to not do anything for the summer, hey, save that time for Auto Glass Week that's coming up. I think we just officially said a couple weeks ago, it's like 100 days out. So Auto Glass Week, if you don't take vacation, try to take a vacation to Reno. Jeff, you will be at Auto Glass Week, right? If anyone has any questions about the Auto Glass Safety Council audits, you pretty much going to be all around all week out there, right? They can ask questions.
Yeah, I'll be out all week long. I look forward to seeing everybody. And I invite you to come on out. Don't miss this one. It's the 20-year anniversary of the Auto Glass competition. So it's a big deal.
There we go.
Be a good one.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you for your time, brother. Thank you for giving us questions and helping us get smarter when it comes to the audit process. And for any technicians that's considering it, check out AGSC's website and make sure you part of the Auto Glass Safety Council to do all the right things, man. Get the checklist, do self audits, wait for the audit, and all that stuff. So appreciate both of y'all for y'all time.
Yep, our goal is to help you pass that audit, and your success is our success, so that it all binds in together. We have not had, I'd say, there's probably like a 98% success rate. There's not too many people that don't make the corrections within the 6 weeks and achieve their compliance.
There you go.
Okay.
Well, we appreciate you, brother. Y'all take care.